it's dawned on me that you ain't coming back. I've lost my chance to see us find our way back. And in the end, amidst these trying times, I'll always try to find you. I'll lie to you to find the truth that you hold back. So stay with me. You know that I'll follow. I can't breathe. Together we'll fall apart. Stay here right in my arms, and we'll start again. So stay. Dramatically talk to me, and it's so funny. You're all I wanted, and I can't talk. Want you out of my life, so just say none. I'll wait for days if you ain't one. I'll just say none. So stay with me. You know that I'll follow. I can't breathe. Together we'll fall apart. Stay here right in my arms. We'll start again. So stay with me. Together we'll fall apart. Together we'll fall apart. Together we'll fall apart. Stay here right in my arms, and we'll start again. So stay with me. Together we'll fall apart.
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to another race meeting here in the CDM Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. It's an absolute joy to be back once again, and to be honest, it's going to be a very, very exciting evening here. We're at the Hungaroring for rounds 9 and 10 of the championship. I'll put my teeth back in at some point. Sorry, my microphone seems to have been adjusted in volume there for a second. Hello, everybody. Chaz Draycott here on Chaz Draycott Media for the CDM Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all having a fantastic Thursday. Of course, looking forward to the very end of the week, as am I as well. I know that the snow here in the UK has immobilised a lot of the country for today at least. My son didn't go to school today because they simply couldn't get staff into said school. He lives near Stoke, so it was a very hilly area and very difficult to get anyone near the school. It's very difficult at the moment for anyone to get near Cam Dance, although it would be if the point system was any different or anything compared to how it was in CDM Formula 1. Cam is currently 8 points clear at the top of the standings. He's having a fantastic time of it now after a no-show last time round from Alex Johnson. Alex had commitments elsewhere and was not able to race with us. He's got 1 point, though, between Sam Bentham and Lennart Schneebel underneath him, and then Lennart is only 3 points clear of Alex, who's then 1 point clear of Tim Perry. So having 13 points separating the top 5 drivers in the championship, especially after the halfway point, is amazing. We've got the Teams Championship as well, which is very close. Boosted Motorsport at the moment on 153 points. That's what, 28 clear of Alcatech NHR. But then the gaps don't get much smaller, to be honest. We've got Pulsar C Sports next up, and then Alcantech Nyman Racing in 4th position. But it's going to be a great night here at the Hungaroring. I'm really looking forward to it. And I know that the drivers have mixed feelings about this place. It's certainly not an easy place to get right. We've got Ben Kriener back out with us again this evening. Of course, won the second race last time out at the Hockenheimring. Ben, a very, very quick racing driver. Races in the real world as well. He's raced in Euro NASCAR. He's raced in a lot of BRSCC championships as well. The young Scotsman certainly isn't a driver to be messed with. He's racing in this old Hesketh looking livery. Gorgeous machine. He's got Lennart Schneebel currently second in the session for Alcantech Nyman Racing. We've got Mats Gjerstrom back with us again tonight, which is great to see. Unfortunately, no appearance yet from his teammate, which is Lasse Sorensen. You can see Lenny really putting some temperature through those front tyres, giving it all the lock in the world. Kimi Räikkönen style, trying to heat them up. We've got Mark Redford back with us tonight as well in the Yorkshire Spirit Racing machine. He's out there with his teammate Martin Kenyon. Just behind him on the circuit right now, though, I believe, is Kevin Zemstra. There's a car off in front of them. That, I think, was Simon Price. Here's the glorious noise that Mark's car makes. Oh, as he goes around and in the wall hard, the rear wing pops off the car. And that is a corner that's going to cause issues for the drivers tonight. And so is the final one by the look of it. Jakub Szymanski also in the wall. I have been telling you all season, though, these cars are not easy to drive at all. Hello, everybody in the chat, though. Martin Kenyon says he's not looking forward to this. Neither is Ben Hoffman. And Alex Burst, you absolute superstar. Unfortunately, I'm not available to come and play Counter-Strike at the moment, mate, but I hope you have a wonderful game. I saw that you were streaming that into the Discord earlier on. But to be honest, you don't want me there to hold you back and obviously lose games for you, because that's all I'm good for. Here's Cam Dance, reigning Formula 1 World Champion, car number 1 this season, racing for Orbit Motorsport and leading the CDM FR 3.5 Championship so far this season. This is Cam's first lap out on the circuit tonight. So he's just getting acclimatised to the current conditions in the session. It's going to be cold out there as well, and the sun isn't going to be around for too long. Let's not forget 2 races per evening. We've got 2 18-lap races tonight here at the Hungaroring. We're not going to see 18-lap races again until we go to the Red Bull Ring at the end of the season. Next up, we're at Monza, 13-lap races there, and then Catalonia, we're going to be having 16-lap races. But we have this practice session, a lone qualifying session for the drivers, where they only have a couple of minutes to set a time. And then after that, we have the first race. Once the first race is completed, we get them all lined up on the grid for the second race, which will have the top 15 positions reversed. I was going to say Jack Johns is going to be hoping for a good evening, and I'm afraid he's off the road. He had a lively race, it's safe to say, at the Hungaroring, involving contact with this man, Sam Bentham, at one point. Sam in the Weebmobile for Boosted Motorsport. Him and his teammate Tim Perry both up there inside the top 5. Half, says Jack. Well, yeah, it would normally be the top half of the field anyway. But the top 15 positions, it would normally be the top half of the field if we had everybody here. But unfortunately, we're a little bit lower on numbers tonight. Looks like we've got 20 cars currently in the session with a few minutes of practice left to go. Ben asking if we've got a rolling start tonight. We have not, my friend. I've made sure that we are back to standing starts as we should be again this evening. As I said, it's good to have Mats Gestrom back out on our screens once again. He was the driver that won the very first race this season at Silverstone after starting second on the grid to Sam Bentham. Mats and his teammate Lasso were definitely some of the favourites going into this season, but they've both had rotten luck. Lasso still has 0 points at this point of the season. He's also not here again tonight, I'm afraid. Apologies, Jack. Apologies. He meant that only half the corners can cause spins, as Ben said. Yeah, it's very tough around here at the... I nearly said the Nürburgring, then the Hockenheimring, the Hungaroring. It's one of my favourite circuits, though. I love this place. I think it's a really cool track. It is very difficult to get a lap together around here, though. It's very difficult to overtake. Formula 1 drivers in the past have called this place Monaco without the buildings, because it is so difficult to overtake around here. Although the FIA European Truck Racing Championship races here, and, well, the last 2 years we've been there, they've been 4 wide going into Turn 1 and Turn 2, so if Formula 1 cars and open-wheelers like this can't do it, then we're not sure why. Then again, it's probably down to the actual pace of the cars, I'd say. John Roberts saying he'd rather be at the Nürburgring. John has unfortunately parked it for the evening. I did see your message in the Discord, John, so don't worry, mate. It is all good, my friend. Just hope that everyone else can put on an enjoyable show for you and provide a decent broadcast at least. Here's Tim Perry just coming around the final corner now. Now, the practice lap times don't really amount to anything, so this at the moment for the drivers is just proving points. Ben Kriener still fastest, though, with a 1:29.127. Lennart Schneebel only 49 thousandths of a second slower than that. Oh, Tim's got the back end out of shape on the brakes. Car tries to go one way as he tries to guide it the other. Kevin Zemstra back out on the road. Wonderful, wonderful noise these cars make. 3.5 litre V8 engine. Over 500 horsepower. About 560 horsepower, I believe they were. And without driver, they were 630 kilos in weight. So they were nearly 1,000 horsepower per tonne. And they've got massive, massive amounts of downforce. They're not quite as sophisticated as top-end Formula 1 cars, but they're a lot more relatable to early 2000s Formula 1 cars, even in the way they look as well, just without all the flicks and the horrible bits on and the fins and stuff. I think they're a gorgeous looking machine. The rear wings are maybe a little bit too big, but I still think that that makes them look really cool. They've got these massive, massive planes on the back of the wings. Obviously very good for sponsors, because it's almost 90 degrees to the front of the car. It's good for the back of the car as well if you put some branding on the back of it. So Kevin Zemstra goes across the line. All the cars will disappear and the session will tick over, and we'll now get into lone qualifying. So if you haven't seen lone qualifying before, you're only going to see one car on track at a time. It's not a one-lap shootout like we did in Formula 1, where everyone goes one at a time in a sort of chronological order. You are literally just going to see one car on your screen. I mean, for example, here, if we go from Martin Kenyon to Simon Price, it's like everybody's in their own individual session, basically. So they've all got the track to themselves. This is one of the beauties of sim racing. But they have literally that 5 minutes to get a time on the board, and that's it. They only get a chance to do one lap. We've got Wayne Palmer for Sim Stickers in the old Jordan 191 livery for tonight. He's not wearing the Sim Stickers branding by the look of it. It looks fantastic for it, though, it has to be said. But it's a shame not to see the Sim Stickers branding back out there. Still that's Craig Vrolick, already partway through his lap. He's just going through the chicane now. And this is only the out lap, though, so they need to crack on and get on with this. We've got one driver from Team Kabuto and one from Team Mazinger this evening. We've got Jalberio Garcia from Team Kabuto. He's scored a couple of points so far this season with just solid consistency. Manuel Esteban hasn't gone out yet in the session. Tim Perry also hasn't gone out yet. There's a few of them leaving it quite late. Jack Johns is about to head out onto track now. To be fair, it's about a minute and a half for a fast lap, so as long as he's not 30 seconds slower on this lap, then he should be okay. Martin Kenyon coming around the final corner now to start his flying lap. Let's just listen to this car as it screams past down the straight. Excellent stuff. Hard onto the brakes into turn one he goes. Nice and smooth on the exit. Plenty of lock on. You can hear the hesitation to get on the throttle, though. These drivers have to be so careful for it. Turn two, a corner that gets away from you. It goes downhill, so the grip seems to be non-existent. Then suddenly it goes a bit flat there for a second and then dives back down the hill. You've got to be careful with the little rise on the exit of turn three. Up towards turn four, over to the right-hand side. It's a blind apex right until the last second, I should say. Flipping heck, really can't get my words out tonight. And a long right-hander at turn 5, really tricky to get right into the chicane. Again, you've got to be so cautious on the throttle around here. Looks tiny from there, from that angle. This is probably the most treacherous corner on the lap, though. You're carrying a lot of corner speed through there, and you have to be very late on the throttle. You can see Martin's taking it nice and easy and making sure that he doesn't hit any track limits, because as we've seen so far this season, all you've got to do is basically get a clean lap on the board, and you can end up right up there. Lennart Schneebel looks like he's going to be the first driver to cross the line and put a time on the board for Alcantech Nyman Racing. Around the final hairpin he goes, still with 2 minutes on the clock. Only one lap though, once they've set a lap, that is it. Cross the line goes Schneebel. And it's a 1:30.252. It was a 1:29.1, I think, from Ben Kriener in practice that put him fastest. Martin Kenyon goes second with a 1:35.0. Simon Price does a 1:33.8. Toby Ward down there, 5.2 seconds off the pace. We've got Ben Hoffman across the line. He goes second fastest, but still 0.8 off Schneebel. Bailiff goes third. Redford goes fourth. Who else have we got setting times? Gestrumbakken round the final corner now. Wayne Palmer is the next car. Where does Gestrumbakken go with that time? Doesn't even look like it was a valid lap, and Wayne Palmer is bringing it into the pits. Cam Dance is next up for Orbit Motorsport. He's still got a minute left on the clock to get this time on, so he'll be okay. It looks like we've got a bunch of drivers that haven't set valid lap times. Makes it look like we've got a very tiny grid. We do have 20 cars tonight. Across the line goes Cam Dance, goes second fastest. Still some near 0.8 of a second off the lap time of Lennart Schneebel. That's unbelievable. We've got Jack Johns just ahead of Ben Kriener on track. Jack crosses the line now. Goes third fastest, 1:31.094. What about Ben Kriener? He goes fastest by just over a quarter of a second. 0.288 is the gap to Ben Kriener, and it looks like he's going to try and secure himself another championship point unless Tim Perry can dethrone him. He's done personal best sectors, of course, but no purple sectors yet. Mark Redford is going to be the next car to cross the line after him. Or maybe not, actually. Mark Redford's already done his lap, hasn't he? He's coming to the pits. Tim Perry goes sixth fastest, and the session comes to an end, and we've got almost half of the field with no valid lap times on the board. Wow, oh wow. Well, let's get a look at this grid then, shall we? And show you exactly how they're going to be lining up. Ben Kriener takes a point for pole position here at the Hungaroring. He's going to start alongside Lennart Schneebel on the front row. Cam Dance and Jack Johns make it row 2. Ben Hoffman and Tim Perry make up 5th and 6th places ahead of John Bailiff and Mark Redford, who will start from inside the top 10 in 8th. Simon Price with, I think, his best qualifying of the season in 9th ahead of Martin Kenyon. 2 Yorkshire Spirit racing cars in the top 10. Good stuff. Toby Ward will start 11th ahead of Kevin Zemstra with no valid time on the board in 12th. And then all the rest of the drivers, actually Toby Ward with a valid time there as well, I must say, in 11th. That is then Mats Giestrombachen, Sam Bentham, Silas Kragvrolic, John Roberts, Wayne Palmer, Jalbrio Garcia, Manuel Esteban and Jakub Szymanski, who all either did not take to the session or did not set a valid lap time for the session. Wow. So now then, we look forward to what's probably going to be a very lively start here at the Hungaroring, especially now that we're back to standing starts again. Look at Cam Dance there, 3rd on the grid. He's certainly one to keep your eye on. He's not got a lot of ground to make up in front of him there to take the lead. Lennart Schneebel, Silas Kragvrolic. We're just waiting for them to join. Lennart Schneebel will be joining on the right-hand side of the grid, just there in front of Jack Johns, like that. And it looks like we're going to get going now. Silas Kragvrolic's jumped onto the grid as well. John Roberts will not be taking the start. So, round 9 of the CDM Formula Renault 3.5 Championship is underway, and I think somebody got a jump start at the back of the grid. There's no movement there by Mark Redford, and straight into the lead goes Lennart Schneebel. Looks like Wayne Palmer's pulled off to the side of the road. He's gone straight onto the grass and then back on again. Ben Creaner down the inside, and Tim Perry there as well. Not a fantastic start for Ben Creaner, and there's contact further back. Ben Hoffman has spun around. Not sure who it was that hit him. I think he's involved with Kevin Zemstra there, but Lennart Schneebel leads the race. Ben Creaner side by side with Cam Dance for second. So close through turn 3. Creaner gets a big wobble on, somehow saves it, and he's already under pressure from Tim Perry. Tim goes down the inside now into turn 4. Ben squeezes his way around the outside. Sam Bentham is now on the back of Mats Giestrombachen as well. 2 of the quickest guys in the series. They're going to be hoping to make some ground and move forward bit by bit in this race. As, oh no, big contact with Giestrombachen into the back of, was that Toby Ward? There's another car around as well in the background. I think that's Jakub Szymanski. But there was big contact there. Toby Ward was collected. I didn't see whether it was Giestrombachen that missed his braking point or whether it was Sam Bentham. But Lennart Schneebel is going to be a very happy bunny right now as he leads this race. I think Giestrombachen might have damage or something. I think the front of the car is pretty foobarred, to be honest. Let's have a look back at that. We'll see what happened between Ben Hoffman and Kevin Zemstra. Oh, it's just a squeeze in the middle. Kevin squeezes down the inside into the side of Sam Bentham and Mats Giestrombachen. Gets popped out sideways and then into Ben Hoffman. And then Toby Ward and Mats Giestrombachen. Oh yeah, Sam hits the back of Giestrombachen, who then hits Toby Ward. So maybe Giestrombachen was just being followed too closely. Or maybe they broke a little bit earlier than Sam was expecting. Look at this for second place, side by side between Creaner and Dance. Creaner round the outside. Not sure whether he'll get any sort of slowdown penalty or anything like that. Seems like Giestrombachen is carrying on near the back of the field. But still, I think he's got damage because the car isn't really behaving itself. Here's Silas Kragvrolic. Started 15th on the grid. He's now up into 11th. He's got Simon Price just in front of him there in the Spontex CDM Esports car. Silas trying to follow as closely as he can. You can see he's just being cautious, getting on the brakes a little bit early. As, oh no, Manuel Esteban's off the road. He's had a spin out of the chicane. Gets cracking on once again. Simon Price, though, holding his own at the moment inside said top 10. Just needs to keep his cool here. Toby Ward is overtaken by Kevin Zemstra for 14th place. But back at the front, it's Lennart Schneebel with Ben Creaner all over the back of him. Now, both of these drivers won a race each at Hockenheim. Lenny becoming the first driver to win a race on home soil this season. There's not going to be any of that today. No Hungarian drivers in the championship. But what a fantastic prospect we have here with these two battling once again. Ben is not a driver that knows how to chill. He has got no chill at all. His maximum attack is Creaner. That's what makes him so exciting to watch. racing for Barrack Sport, who of course were out in their numbers in the YouTube chat last week to support Ben. Hope they're about again as well a little bit later into the stream. We're already on lap 3 out of 18 here at the Hungaroring, and it's Ben Kriener chasing down Lennart Schneebel for the race lead, and well, the body language of that car looks very confident at the moment. I'm afraid Mats Gestrumbakken, I think, has just pulled off to one side with the issues he was having with the car. Yeah, look at the understeer. He runs wide, and then it says that he stopped not long after. I think he might park it down here at turn 2, unless he has a spin or something. Yeah, the understeer is absolutely atrocious, isn't it? You can see the entire nose is sort of dislodged and not quite in shape. I think the front right's broken as well, and yeah, he comes to a stop, unfortunately. And he is still sat in the pits. But here comes Ben Kriener in the slipstream, moves out to the right-hand side of Lennart Schneebel very late. Gets the car stopped for the apex of the corner, though. Lovely move. Lennart Schneebel carries the speed around the outside, though. Side by side they go down towards turn 2. Lenny tries to keep him over to the right. Ben tries to keep him over to the left. Now Ben's got the preferred line here. He's around the outside of turn 2, which gives him the inside for turn 3, and he's going to get it done. Fantastic racing. Awesome manoeuvre, but now Lenny's going to be back in the slipstream straight away. Let's not forget they run a high downforce setup, so there's going to be a lot of slipstream here for Lenny to play with. So close to one another at all times. Great to watch, but Ben Kriener takes the race lead for now because the slipstream now turns the other way into the favour of Schneebel. Excellent stuff though, and this is exactly what we want in this championship, is nice close racing like this. 2 Yorkshire Spirit Racing cars are close together apparently, but no. It's Sam Bentham who has just overtaken Mark Redford. And then behind them, Martin Kenyon is trying to hold off Silas Krag-Vrolik, 2 drivers that raced together in the CDM Formula 1 World Championship. Tom Weston jumping in on the Facebook chat. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're all right. I hope you're ready to listen to the glorious noise of the 3.5 litre V8 engine in the back of the Formula Renault 3.5. Excellent, excellent sound, and we go on board now with Ben Kriener looking back at Lennart Schneebel. Ben's managed to pull out a gap of about half a second. Then he's not in a position to use the slipstream to get back past Ben. A bit further down, we're going to get Silas Krag-Vrolik. He's surely in a position to get past Martin Kenyon. He's going to go down the inside into turn 1. Hard on the brakes, and Silas makes it through. Toby Ward, I'm afraid, has had another issue. This is at the last corner. Car goes around, and it's going to go into the barriers. And that is the end of Toby's race. There's a bit of a mistake there maybe by Silas. Runs very wide at turn 2. And then wide at turn 3 and 4. Manages to keep it on the black stuff technically. But it's one of those cars that can really show you a big bite of understeer sometimes, and then other times it can be absolutely fine. As around goes, well, who was that actually? Was it Lenny? No, it was Mark Redford. Don't know why I thought it was Lennart Schneebel for some reason. He's well far ahead. He's got 19 seconds clear of this, but Mark just having a little spin. So easy to do. Look out the chicane. The car just has that bounce. Great save. The tyres are going to feel like absolute death for a bit, but still, he did a good job there for it not to completely loop around. Now there's 15 positions reversed on the grid, so Jakub Szymanski, who's currently blinking in and out of 15th place, apparently, he's going to be up there as, that was Manuel Esteban going off on the exit of the chicane. Again, just another highlight here this evening of how difficult this car is to drive. It really is a handful. A lot of people just expect because it's a Formula car, it's going to be very, very stable, very planted. And in the high-speed stuff, it's excellent, but it's one of those cars that when it goes, oh boy, it goes. It really does. And Kevin Zemstra has been overtaken here by Simon Price. Kevin trying to get back at him down the inside now for Alcantech NHR. A team that needs to get back up there in the Teams Championship. They're 28 points off the back of Boosted Motorsport at the moment, and Boosted have both of their cars inside the top 7 places. Sam Bentham started 14th on the grid here. and he's up to 7th. Silas Kragvolik has gained the same amount of places, starting in 15th place and moving up to 8th. Look at the way that he managed that bounce over the curb there. I don't think I'd be able to do that. Ben Kriener has managed to extend his race lead, though, up to just over, well, it was just over a second to Lennart Schneebel, but in this sector, Lenny's actually taken a little bit of time out of him. It seems like Ben has not been able to withstand the pressure in that sector. He's done a purple sector 2, Lenny did a purple sector 1, and then Lenny did his personal best in sector 3. So the chase is on here for the race lead. But Ben just seems to be able to handle the car a little bit better in the twisty stuff. And he jumped in last week as well and didn't really expect to be up there in the championship. However, he's doing a smashing job. Here's the young Scotsman. Look at the acceleration of this car. It's disgusting, isn't it? Up into turn 4. They're hitting the apex at turn 4 over 210 kilometers an hour. It's just under 130 miles an hour. Even the chicane, you know, they're still doing 60 mile an hour through there. It's very, very quick. Doesn't look as quick as the rest of the lap, though, so you don't say to yourself that that's fast, but they really are flying through there. Not even at the halfway point of this race yet, though, and we know that sometimes tyre management can be important. You need to look after the rubber on these cars because it's very sensitive. Jakub Szymanski has been off the road, and in being off the road has lost 15th place. Oh my goodness me! What is that? Well, unfortunately, that was a display of what iRacing's physics can sometimes do to these, let's say, older cars on the sim. And it's a big, big shame, because that could have just been a kiss with the wall and a slight spin, and then he could have got back on his way. Wayne Palmer's on his way. He's gained 5 spots after starting 17th in this race. He's now on the back of Mark Redford in the Yorkshire Spirit Racing car. I know that there's going to be a number of drivers out there tonight that maybe don't enjoy this round of the championship as much, with how tough this circuit is. Down the start-finish straight again. I love that shot of them coming down into turn 1. You can see them now just building up speed bit by bit as they go down the hill. We're getting a bit of jumping in the frames at the moment. Apologies for that. Not quite sure why that was. I don't see my PC doing anything specific to cause that. It's not network related anyway. But right now, Kriener is certainly not disappearing off up the road ahead of Lenny Schneebel. Certainly looks composed, though. It doesn't look like he's really... You know, he doesn't look like he's under threat. He doesn't look like he's pushing too hard or anything. He's just carrying the pace and cracking on with it. Now, we've got Sam Bentham closing in on the back of John Bailiff right now. This is Boosted Motorsports' Sam Bentham that we ride on board with. Closing in on John Bailiff, Pulsar Esports. John's then got his teammate Jack Johns about 1.3 seconds ahead. Here comes Sam in the slipstream, trying to brake a little bit later, tried to get some sort of cutback on John. He really drops it down the gears into first, can't get the punch. John puts the car exactly where he needs to. Into turn 2. John doesn't really have to defend very hard. Lovely shot there of the sun glinting over the rear wing. The big GT Omega Racing logo on the back end of the car. Look at the speed of these things through this section. Turn 5 is a very, very tricky corner. These cars just fly around it at such ridiculous speed. And the Pulsar Esports car, certainly an interesting looking machine with the chrome blue and sort of teal colour all over it. And then the pink flashes and pink highlights on the side pods and wings. We've got Jakub Szymanski back in the pits, I'm afraid. Not quite sure why that is. We've got Toby Ward still sat in the pits and Mats Gjerstrom back and sat there as well. So we've had a couple of cars out of the race already. But back at the front, the gap is now down to half a second. We're on to the 10th lap of this race here at the Hungaroring. 18 laps in total. Ben Hoffman has been off the road. Now that is after the chicane, that is. Let's have a look at how he's done this. Oh, just as he gets on the AstroTurf. And, oh, he does hit the barrier. I was going to say he's done very well there not to spin it completely. Is Mark Redford's been off. Mark Redford's gone off. Duncan is absolutely right. This really is not for everyone. It's a very, very tough car to drive. Oh, whoa. Whoa, not sure what happened there for Mark, but it just looked like the car did not want to slow down at all. Looked like he was having a brake issue there. It was as if he'd lifted off the throttle but not done anything else. John Bailiff, though, still ahead of Sam Bentham here. It looked like Sam was really closing in and he was going to absolutely do a number on him, but so far, no such move has come. As there's been a move at the front of the field because Lennart Schneebel has been off the track. Lenny's been around. He's done this all on his own by the look of it. Whoa, that's a big old moment. He's on the grass. Oh, my. How? Oh, I mean, he does kiss the barrier, but how has he not hit anything hard there? How has he not really smacked into something? Look how long this accident goes on for. My word. Hell of a spin. We've now got an issue for Manuel Esteban not long after this, I'm afraid. I think he's had a bit of a moment down at the bottom of the hill. Onto the brakes he goes. Seems okay. Down to turn 2. This is where it's going to happen. Yep, just slowly over-rotates. Oh, he tries to get on the throttle to try and drift it through the corner, but that doesn't work in these cars, I'm afraid, Sunshine. Manuel's just had another spin there as well, actually. Jakob in the chat saying he got sick from that spin. And it's understandable, mate. These things go around very, very quickly. And, of course, when you're in the air as well and you get flung about, it's a horrible experience. Hope you're all right, buddy. Sorry to see that the physics did you like that, to be honest. Back on board with Sam Bentham. And, actually, these two, Sam Bentham and John Bailiff, are actually closing in on Jack Johns at this point. Jack sits just inside the top 5 at the moment, scoring good points for the team. Jack is 7th in the championship and his teammate John is 9th. Only 7 points between them. Jack's got 57, John's got 50. Sam Bentham, who we ride on board with here, is 2nd in the championship, 8 points behind Cam Dance. He's got 79 points to his name. There's a bit of a wiggle there from John Bailiff just in front of him. Wayne Palmer has now apparently had a spin and he's given a position away to Simon Price, who now moves up. Here's Sam Bentham in the slipstream once again. Is he going to fully go for it this time? No. Back to the outside again. Takes a much wider line around the outside. He's still got his nose alongside John Bailiff now, and if he can make this work and be down the inside for the next corner, he could get the move done there, but John's going to have the inside line for turn 3. Oh, they've got to be careful. John turns in a bit far, and oh, no! He's had a spin, and he's put it in the wall. Now, if I'm honest, it looked like John didn't leave the room down the inside there, but we'll have to have a look back. John's the dark blue car on the outside. And no, I'm afraid that's not really anything Sam could have done there, but then John, just getting on the power on the exit, just clipped the grass that tiny bit and around it went. And he's trying to drag the car back. He's trying to at least get it into the pits rather than having to wait for a couple of minutes for it to tow. As, oh my goodness me, that was a big hit. That was Manuel Esteban. He's having a very tough time tonight. We've seen him have multiple spins already. As, he's put the car in the middle of the racing line technically there. But now that there's that spin has happened for Lennart Schneebel, Ben Kriener now has a lead of 4.9 seconds. So he's properly disappeared off up the road now. And he's looking very, very comfortable for what will be his 2nd race win of the season if he does this. And Cam Dance, just to put that into perspective, Cam leads the championship and he's only won one race this season. And Cam did that at Zandvoort, the first race of the day for Orbit Motorsport. Mark Redford is now off the road again, just skating his way through the gravel. It really is a night of attrition again, I'm afraid, isn't it? Here's Ben Kriener, just going up to the same part of the circuit that Mark's just been through. But the race leader is looking very comfortable. You've got to love it. He's got still 5 more laps to go after this one. But they will certainly feel like they last forever for Ben Kriener when you're leading a race. Every lap, every minute that ticks by, regardless of your experience and your composure, just feels like they last forever. Here's Silas Kragvrolic now making his way through from 15th on the grid. Sam Bentham in front of him has made his way through from 14th. I was going to say they've both gained 8 places, but make that 9 in the way of Silas and 7 in the way of Sam now. But Sam's going to have the slipstream to come back at him, is he? Silas puts the car in the middle of the road. Nice tidy drive from Silas so far. This is exactly what he needs, really. This championship hasn't been straightforward. He's 17th in the standings. He's got 1 race win, and that was his only podium appearance. He's got 20 points in the entire championship so far. And he won that race in round 2 at Silverstone, and he hasn't scored points since round 2. And that was back in 2022 as well, at the start of December. He scored 5 points in the first race of the season, then won the second race. And as I said, he's not been inside the points since then. You get points in the top 15 places in this championship. And it is as simple as 15 points for a win, then 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you only get 1 extra point per position. So if you're in second and you think, oh, I could take a win, then the only thing you're going to gain really by going for that win is the bragging rights that come with it, because you don't get a big amount of points extra. Duncan asking what happened to Bailiff. Yeah, John unfortunately made a bit of contact with Sam Bentham, and then out of the corner he's just been through there, lit it up on the exit and went into the wall. He's just had another moment going a little bit too hot into turn 2. Has a spin but carries on again. And it was going very well for John as, oh, someone has had an off. It sounded definitely like there was some contact. Could hear the noise, but I'm not sure who was guilty for it. But Simon Price here with Wayne Palmer behind him. Simon racing for Spontex CDM Esports. We've got the Spontex Hedgehog on the rear wing there. And it is not a coincidence that it's CDM. It is my team, effectively. There's no specific drivers that always race for Spontex CDM Esports. If there's anyone without a team that goes into a championship or a league, or just, you know, if they're drivers or people that I like, then I'll ask them if they want to run the livery. They are not completely obliged to at all. As, oh, goodness me, Silas Kragvrolic has had a spin, and Sam Bentham has got back past him. Let's have a look here what's happened. It's just on the exit of the chicane. Is it just an innocent bounce and then on the throttle? Yep. Oh, it goes one way, then the other. And again, how does he not hit anything there? How on earth? Oh, Wayne Palmer's come to a stop, and so too is Simon Price. The two of them were racing one another very closely. Wayne gets going again, doesn't afford Simon any room to get back on, maybe in protest. Oh, it sounded like there was a bit more contact there. Oh, Wayne's done it on his own, actually. Oh, and Simon's gone off in sympathy. Big time into the wall. Now Wayne gets going, and we're going to stay with Simon here. It sounded like someone blew an engine. Who has blown an engine? Because something definitely blew up there, didn't it? You could hear the noise in the background. Anyway, back to the front. We've got Ben Kriener still leading this race for Barrick Sport, 6.4 seconds clear of Cam Dance. Simon Price continues on with the battered Spontex CDM Esports Hedgehog. Although he drags it into the pits for repairs. He will at least continue on and try and finish the race. Feel a bit sorry for Yorkshire Spirit Racing. They've not had a great race here either. Mark Redford's driving with quite a bit of damage on the car. They both started inside the top 10, and it's not really gone well for them from that point onwards. That was Jack Johns just going through. Sam Bentham making his way around as well. Martin Kenyon is closing in on his teammate. But Mark is walking wounded at the moment. Great to see the two cars together. They are gorgeous machines. And Simon Price is back out of the pits. Now they do get a fast repair in this championship, so you can get all damage instantly repaired and get the car back in tip-top condition. Although Simon unfortunately has a spin at turn 1 on cold tyres there as he comes back out. Ben Creaner now on to the penultimate lap of the race. And since he took that lead, it's not really looked like anybody can touch him. It was the same at Hockenheim as well. He won by a massive amount. And once again, Ben is really proving his pedigree here and just why he does this for real. He doesn't race the Formula Renault 3.5 for real, but he's raced some potent machines. Most notably a Citroën C1 in the BRSCC CCC, the City Car Cup. I think it was a C1 anyway that he was racing. Unless it might have been a Toyota Aygo actually for... I can't remember the name of the team now either. Sorry, Ben. Sorry, team. Or was it actually for Barrack Sport? I can't remember. But still, Ben's a very potent driver. He has raced in Euro NASCAR as well. In the... I think it was called the Elite 2 or the Pro 2 category. Anyway, he's on to the final lap of the race now, and Cam Dance is some 7.7 seconds back. He's got Lennart Schneebel 1.6 seconds behind him. And then just in the background there, you could see Tim Perry, who's had a bit of a lonely race. He's got 6.2 seconds ahead of him, 6.7 behind him, and no cars in that gap. Jack Johns still going well in 5th position as well. He's on to score some good points. He's got his sparring partner from Hockenheim, Sam Bentham, behind him. Hopefully no shenanigans there. But I don't think Sam is close enough to launch an attack unless we see a mistake from Jack. But he's been very solid through this race so far. He's started to get a good grasp on this car. As he goes up towards turn 4, look at the way this car turns in and the way it flings itself around corners. It's excellent to watch. But it's not long now until Ben Creaner comes around the final few corners. As, oh, somebody sounded like they had a bit of an issue there. Didn't quite catch who that was. But there may be a car on our screens in a sec just in front of Ben Creaner. But still, he only made his debut last week in the championship, won the second race of the day. This time, he's won the first race of the day. Ben Creaner wins at the Hungaroring. Fantastic performance once again for Barrack Sport. Cam Dance continues a strong championship campaign with second place ahead of Lennart Schneebel, who rounds out the podium in round 9 of the CDM Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Tim Perry is going to be next up, finishing in 4th. He started 6th on the grid. More solid points for Boosted Motorsport as well. Jack Johns gets the top 5. Very well done indeed ahead of Sam Bentham. He gains 8 places from 14th on the grid. Still has Craig Vrolick from 15th on the grid. Kevin Zemstra is going to get inside the top 10 in 8th position. And Jalberio Garcia, well, he's been very under the radar. He may be 32 seconds off the back of Kevin Zemstra, but he has been right under the radar throughout this race. And he is going to score himself a top 10 finish with this one. Now, looking at his previous races, he's only scored 1, 3, 3 and 3 points. At Zandvoort, Spa and Hockenheim, 10 points so far. Now, if he finishes where he is now in 9th place, well, he's going to score 7. So very well done indeed to Jalberio Garcia. Takes his best result of the season, and Wayne Palmer rounds out your top 10. But wow, what can you say about Ben Creaner? That was one hell of a race. And Ben takes his second race win of the season. Very well done to Ben. As there's Tim Perry trying his best 360 attempt. And now the session ticks over and we'll have a 10-minute warm-up between the two races. We're going to go over the race results, of course, and show you how all of that was finally classified. With Ben Kriener taking the win, 7.7 seconds to the good. Fantastic performance by Ben. Lennart Schnabel finishing in third place, 8.9 seconds off the leader. But Cam Dance right between the two of them, of course, will strengthen that championship lead. Only just a little bit, though. Tim Perry in fourth. Good, strong result for him again. And same for Jack Johns, another top 5 finish for the Brit. Sam Bentham finishes 6th for Boosted Motorsport. A great haul of points for them in the Teams Championship. Zilla Craig Vrolik finishing in 7th, ahead of his teammate-ish, Kevin Zemstra. Jalbrio Garcia doesn't round out the top 10. Jalbrio Garcia finishes 9th, with Wayne Palmer rounding out the top 10. Ben Hoffman finishes 11th, ahead of John Bailiff, who was the last car on the lead lap. Then we have Martin Kenyon, Simon Price, and Mark Redford. They will be the top 3 on the grid for race 2. Mark Redford starting the second one from pole position. Then we have the non-finishers, Manuel Esteban, Jakob Schmansky, Toby Ward, Mats Gjestrembakken, and John Roberts. Now we will have a few cars out on track for just a few moments, as we now have the warm-up session. I'll let the cameras go to auto and do their thing, but I will just take a quick break here on Chaz Draycott Media. Just need to get myself a new drink because, as you might have heard so far, my throat is absolutely trying to kill me today. So if you bear with me just a few minutes, everybody, I'll be right back with you, and then we will jump into round 10 of the CDM Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Don't go away. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott here for the CDM Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Wow, we had another very busy race indeed. We may not have had a grid as big as we've had in the past, but still a very entertaining race all the same, with a fantastic victory by Ben Craner, a guy that's certainly making his mark on this championship already. He's done 3 races in this championship so far, and he's finished second, first and first. So we hope to see Ben continue that sort of form, because it's very, very impressive. We're only 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, and then we'll move on from the warm-up session ahead of the second race. The top 15 on the grid, or the top 15 positions from the first race, I should say, will be reversed for this one, which means that we'll get Mark Redford on the pole position. He's going to have Simon Price alongside him, and then Mark's teammate, Martin Kenyon, is going to be joining him on the front row. He's going to be joining him near the front of the grid, in third place. This is the sort of lesson I need to teach myself about trying to read things while also trying to speak words that make sense at the same time. Simon Price back out there. He's going to be maybe a bit nervous about starting near the front of the grid. And Ben does correct me in the chat. Thank you very much, Ben, for confirming. He says Barrack Sport is rebranded OBU Student Challenge Team. So yes, it is the same team. Glad to hear it, Ben. Well done on the win, mate. Fantastic performance. And we're now only a couple of minutes away from round 10 of the CDM Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Cam Dance may breathe a bit of a sigh of relief. He's got through the first race so far this evening, which means that he will retain his championship lead, because the two drivers behind him in those championship standings are Sam Bentham and Lennart Schneebel. Both of them finished behind him in that race, Lenny finishing ahead of Sam. So I think Lenny may have jumped him in the points now, maybe only by 1 or 2. So it'll be pretty close still as we move into the next race of the night. Jakub Szymanski only 11 thousandths of a second behind Mark Redford in this warm-up session. But Jakub back out there after being knocked for 6 in the first race due to his spin into the wall and then the physics flinging him up in the air, and in VR, well, that's not a pleasant experience at all. To be honest, I get motion sick even when I just come to a controlled stop in VR. I can fly around all day in a fighter jet on Digital Combat Simulator, you know, loops and rolls and all sorts, and not looking in the direction in which I'm travelling, which is normally what gets people. But as soon as I land and then, you know, you're driving around on the ground and I come to a stop and you don't get that sort of jolt forward as the G-forces push you a little bit, that's when I instantly feel sick and feel weightless. It's horrible. It really is. Motion sickness is a terrible thing when it comes to VR. It can really ruin the fun of what is a very immersive and enjoyable experience. So, everything's going to tick over again now. You'll see a few things flicker in and out as we now head into the 10th round of the championship here at the glorious, glorious Hungaroring. There you go. There is the aforementioned flickering. Mark Redford on pole position with Simon Price alongside him. Then we have Martin Kenyon and John Bailiff on row 2. Ben Hoffman and Wayne Palmer make up row 3 ahead of Jalbrio Garcia, Kevin Zemstra in 8th, Celeste Craig Vrolik in 9th, Sam Bentham in 10th. You'll see the rest of the grid now pass through your screen, and it is now where you need to decide who you are going to be putting your money on for this one, because it's anybody's guess with these reverse grid races. Survival is key in these situations, and that's just part of the sport. Looking at the back of the grid, Mats Gestrembacken's got a lot of work to do from all the way back here in 19th position. It does say there will be 20 cars, but we are going to get just the 19. John Roberts has withdrawn from the meeting. One more car to wait for, which is Kevin Zemstra, and it looks to me like he's not actually taking to the start either. He wasn't happy after the contact in the first race, so maybe it's in form of protest. But round 10 of the CDM Formula Renault 3.5 Championship gets underway. Simon Price goes absolutely nowhere. There's cars weaving this way and that way to try and get through. Somehow there isn't any contact. There's a car off at the back of the grid, which is Jakub Szymanski. Coming through the middle, is that Celeste Craig Vrolik? Yes, it is. It's 3 wide into there. Are they all going to make it through? John Bailiff spins and Celeste Craig Vrolik's around. Oh, John has a nightmare. Oh, my goodness me. And who was that? Was John Bailiff getting sent to absolute space. And was there more contact there with Silas? There was further cars making contact, though. Jalbrio Garcia's come to grief at some point and got going again. I think he was actually ended up being involved in that first spin. But Mark Redford leads by 1.39 seconds over his teammate Martin Kenyon. It's a 1-2 for Yorkshire Spirit Racing at the moment. Wayne Palmer next up. Then Jack Johns and Tim Perry, who've gained 7 places each off the start. Ben Crean has gained 8. And Mats Gesterenbakken has gained 9. And is he going to rail the back of Sam Bentham as payback for the first race? No, he's not, of course. He's being a gentleman. A little bit of a moment there for Ben Hoffman. Not sure if he got any help, but he went straight on at the chicane. And now Sam Bentham's gone past him. Mats Gesterenbakken closes in behind. It's close further up, though. Jack Johns leading this train, followed by Wayne Palmer, Tim Perry, Ben Creaner. And then Lennart Schneebel at the back of this as well with the best view in the house. You see Ben Creaner trying to go around the outside of Tim Perry in the boosted Motorsport Alfa Romeo colours. Still side by side as they come into the final corner now. Ben late on the brakes. Look at the speed that he carries into the corner there, and he's done it. Wow, what a move that was by Ben Creaner. And now he's going to be in slipstreaming range of Wayne Palmer in front of him. Watch Lennart Schneebel as well as he ducks out of the slipstream. And in front, Jack Johns is having a go at Martin Kenyon for second place. Ben's come across the front of Wayne Palmer. Oh, and he's made contact with him. Not sure if that was the car locking up that put it in a straight line, but it was clumsy. It's very easy to be clumsy in this car. Let's go back to the green flag, though, and have a look at Simon Price, because unfortunately, the Hoggy did not get going. Oh, it's really low revs wheel spin, but look at everyone ducking around him. Oh, Wayne Palmer hits the wall on the left there. And let's have a look again at what happens to John Bailiff and then switch it over to Silas Craig-Vrolic. So John's... Oh, he's on the curb and it unsettles the car. The back end goes into Silas. And then John gets hit by Jakob and goes to space, as you see there. I didn't see who else was involved in that, but it seemed like, oh, there's more contact. That's where Garcia came to blows. It sounded like somebody else blew up. I think it might have been John Bailiff as he broke the sound barrier, to be honest. But these things happen in these cars, and oh man, Lennart Schneebel into the back of Martin Kenyon. Ben Creaner says, thanks very much, boys. I'll take 2 freebies. Lenny was just... I don't want to say impatient, but he just goes into the back of Martin. Martin gives him a bit more. Runs a bit wide, doesn't want to afford him the room. Ben Hoffman goes through. Wayne Palmer looks down the inside. Oh, no. Don't know if Martin's got his eyes closed or anything, but he's just been pinballing off them all. Well, he was running... Whoa, goodness me. He was running wide out of the left-hander and made a bit more contact. Sam Bentham's in. Not quite sure why. He's got damage on the front wing. See what else has happened here. Jakob Szymanski's been off. Toby Ward has been off. And Tim Perry as well. So there's been further drama somewhere. Oh, that's Tim going around. Piles of smoke. And then apparently Toby Ward had an issue. Oh, I think that was all he did when he went off. Tim Perry gets back on with it. Jakob Szymanski, not quite sure, I'm afraid. As back on board with Sam Bentham. And this is not long after he's come out of the pits either. And he's had a spin now. Boy, it's tough to drive this car. And these guys are proving that even more and more. Mats Gesterenbakken started 19th here and he's gained 6 positions. He may have Schneebel and Creaner ahead of him, who are 2 of the fastest drivers in the championship. But you can't really bet against him getting a podium or something. John Bailiff has unfortunately been back out on track and then decided to come back in the pits again. But Mark Redford leads this race for Yorkshire Spirit Racing. 2.2 seconds, or there or thereabouts, is the gap over Jack Johns, who does the fastest lap of the race. The Racing Line, as he's known on YouTube. He's got his TRL Touring Car Championship back on iRacing once again as well. I think I mentioned a few weeks ago about Jack that he may have over 5,000 YouTube subscribers now, but it's over 7, I believe, and he's closing in on 8, I think. He's done a fantastic job. He took up the sim racing and all of this lark during lockdown, and he's moved out to Dubai now, hence the flag of the United Arab Emirates. He's only a couple of hours ahead, though. I always thought they were a good 8 or so hours ahead, but turns out I think it's only like 3 or 4 hours ahead, so it's not so bad. But he's not a bad peddler either, is Jack. He drives a multitude of different cars, and he does a lot of lap guides as well for official series on iRacing, and it gets him a lot of views, and of course it works, and they're very good guides as well, so go check them out. Here is Tim Perry trying to make a move on Manuel Esteban down the inside into the chicane. Manuel affords him the room, and Tim goes through. Ben Kriener in third place, by the way. He has gained 12 spots from where he started. It's a very similar performance to last week, isn't it, really? Although he went 1 position better in the first race, he cannot possibly go 1 position better in the second race, because that would mean he'd finish in 0 position. And Sam Bentham, I believe, is done. Sam Bentham once again off the road. Not quite sure what's caused this, whether he's pushing a bit hard to try and catch up, but no, that is all she wrote, I'm afraid, for Sam. Maybe a bit of frustration carried over from the first race. Jakob has apologised to John in Discord for the contact, but he's just said it was his fault for spinning. He's hoped that if he stayed where he was, he might survive, but he got sent through a black hole. And Toby Ward has posted in the chat as well, asking if he's alive and hoping that he wasn't in VR. Luckily for John, I don't think he was. Be interested to see what the speed was that he reached there. I've seen cars get some 700 kilometres an hour upwards in iRacing due to those physics. Now here's an interesting situation. Ben Kriener closing in on Jack Johns. Lennart Schneebel closing in on the pair of them. Lenny is going quicker than both of them at the moment. Although it was the fastest lap of the race by Ben Kriener last time round, but Lenny was only a few hundredths slower. Well, on this lap, he's definitely closed the gap somewhat. And there are drivers saying that even after the fast repairs, the cars still feel broken. It was the same for Jakub Szymanski and John Bailiff and Toby Ward as well. So, unfortunately, the fast repair not doing as intended. And here comes Ben Kriener on Jack Johns. 2 drivers that leave absolutely nothing on the table. Ben goes a little bit deep into the first corner. There is contact. Jack tries to give him room. And through goes the Scotsman, but you can bet Jack's not going to be happy about that. That's definitely a retaliation dive there by Jack. He says, look, if you can send it up the inside like that, so can I. Watch. Ben doesn't seem flustered by it, and now Jack might have compromised himself slightly to be under attack from Lenny Schneebel. Through turn 4, into turn 5. Jack defends the inside line. Doesn't send himself too deep through the corner, though. Actually gets a really good run on the exit, though. Lovely line there. Now just needs to focus on staying ahead of Lennart, which is definitely easier said than done, especially as Lenny is going to want to go chasing after Ben. You can only see him 2 cars ahead, and then they can see the race leader in front of that. Is Ben Kriener going to become the first driver in this championship to win both races on the night? We've already got a driver that's won 2 races on the bounce, which was Lennart Schneebel, who we look at here. He won the second race at Spa and then won the first race at Hockenheim. But nobody to this point has won 2 races on one night, as Manuel Esteban meets the wall again. Gets going though and recovers. That's a reduced pace, of course. Now for the lead, Mark Redford. Well, he's cracking on. He's doing what he can do. He knows of Ben Kriener. They've raced together in the oval scene as well, as there was a big lock-up by one of them there. And Lennart Schneebel round the outside of Jack Johns at turn 1. What a move that is. He's going to have the inside for turn 2, but then Jack will have the outside line here, and then the inside for turn 3, although not if he goes that wide. Lenny loses it. There's a tiny touch, and somehow the 2 cars don't both go spinning off. Lennart's overtaken by his countryman, and that car is absolutely done. That car is more sideways than a lot of Japanese drifting cars that I've seen. And Lenny, I believe, is going to still try and get that car back. That's what the tiny touch did. My goodness. Well, here's the initial move. Goes round the outside into turn 1. It's a gorgeous move. Jack's nice and tidy to the apex keeps it tucked in. And then just keep your eye out for the tiny bit of contact from the right rear of Lennett's car and the left rear of Jack's, because Lenny goes sideways, and look, there, that tap is what's broken the suspension. Well, they are that fragile. Ben Creaner leads the race, by the way. He has taken the lead now from Mark Redford, who's now got Jack Johns down his inside. Mark manages to get a good run around the final corner, though, gets a decent exit as well. Holds on to second position for the time being. But Jack has been one of the fastest drivers in this race, so you've got to think it's a case of when, not if, he gets past Mark Redford. Goes late on the brakes. Mark turns in nice and early. Jack's going to get a good run on the exit, though. Goes to the right-hand side. He knows that the outside will be the inside for turn 3. Lennart Schneebel has managed to bring the car back into the pits. And look at that by Jack Johns. Great move around the outside of turn 2. Is he going to make this stick? He is indeed. Fantastic driving there from Jack. Lovely manoeuvre. You love to see it, but now Mark is in the slipstream and he's going to be able to close back in. Touching on Cam Dance as well, by the way. He's just got past Martin Kenyon for P10. So Cam really hasn't made the progress that we would have expected so far in this race. Not quite sure if he got caught up in the initial incident at the start of the race, but still. Jack Johns now up to second. Ben Hoffman looking to move forward and get into third position. Ben's had a bit of a topsy-turvy season himself. 2 second places, but no other podiums since the second race meeting of the season. He had a podium in the very first race of the season at Silverstone. And then Zandvoort, the second race of the day, he had one there. And oh, these guys are just throwing it up the inside now. Mark Redford comes over to the right-hand side, says, no, thank you, sunshine. Lennart Schneebel, sorry, not Lennart Schneebel, Mats Gjerstrom backing down the inside. I don't think Ben even saw that he was there. Silas Craig Vrolik has a great view of all this. He's now going to get triple slipstream. Initially off Mats Gjerstrom backing. Let's see. Oh, Silas decides to go all the way over to the right-hand side. And Mark is still at the front of this, ahead of Ben Hoffman. Silas Craig Vrolik goes past Mats Gjerstrombakken. The Dutchman goes past the Norwegian. As Mark parks the car on the inside line on the brakes. Ben Hoffman not able to get through just yet. It's hard defending by Mark. He's doing everything he can to keep these guys behind. We'll go on board now with Ben. You'll see just ahead the rear wing of Mark Redford's car. It's hard to tell these cars apart from the back, actually, because they've all got the same identical rear wing decal layer with the series branding on it. Oh, a short shift there from Ben, and he's on the grass. He's got to be very careful not to let the car go around there, and Silas is through, and oh, Mats Gjerstrombakken. Well, he tries to go for it as well, but seemingly runs wide into the side of Ben. They both end up compromised. And well, Silas has had a dream lap or so here, hasn't he? All these guys holding each other up, and Silas has said, thanks very much, boys. I will pop through. Oh no, Mark's had a bit of a wiggle. He's had more of a wiggle. Silas, fantastic avoidance, but through down the inside of all of it goes Ben Hoffman. Mark Redford had some sort of issue with the back end of the car. Oh, he just tries to turn in too tight. He was offline with the way that he approached this corner, although it's hard to actually see it, to be honest. Oh, this is well too far back as well, so well done to Chaz. Oh, that doesn't help much more, does it? Well, he's had a wobble there as Mark, and then tries to turn in. He's on a tighter line on the brakes. Fantastic reaction times by Silas Craig Vrolik, it has to be said. So let's have a recap then. We've got Ben Creaner leading this race. 4.4 seconds to the good already over Jack Johns in second for Pulsar Esports. Ben Hoffman now up to third. And he's got Silas Craig Vrolik and Mats Gjerstrombakken right behind him. Mark Redford is still sixth. Tim Perry is in seventh position. He's gained 5 places from starting 12th. Wayne Palmer is next up. He's just had a spin, though, a moment ago, so he's lost a bit of time on Tim Perry. Cam Dance is now up to 9th place, and Jalbreo Garcia back inside the top 10. He's got Martin Kenyon all over the back of him, though, so he needs to be careful not to overdo it. Lennart Schneebel is there as well, and he's just on the fastest lap of the race on that previous lap, so he's absolutely flying as well. Whoa, big send down the inside there, was it? By Martin Kenyon. He's overdone it. And was that contact between Manuel Esteban and Lennart Schneebel? It looked like it could have been. Oh, it's Jalbrio Garcia, apologies. Flies down the inside. Oh, it's a big send. Goes way too deep. And Leonard Schneebel somehow doesn't receive contact from that, and it was not Manuel Esteban, it was Jalbrio Garcia. Moment there for Martin Kenyon. He's lit up the back end out of the tight right-hander at turn 12. And this now is the move for third. This is Silas Kragvrolic around the outside of Ben Hoffman. That left rear is very close to the front right of Ben's car, but again, around the outside at turn 2 and then down the inside at turn 3 is definitely the favoured move by these guys. They all make it look so beautiful. And Silas Kragvrolic, after starting 9th on the grid, is into a podium spot. Ben Kriener, though, started this race 15th on the grid. And he's now in the race lead. It is epic to see. Simon Price there just behind him is a lap back. John Bailiff saying after his car came down after the crash after the start, it ended up somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Quite the effort that, to be honest, John. I hope you're alright, mate. It was one hell of an accident. Unfortunately, the laws of iRacing physics took over there, I'm afraid, mate. As Wayne Palmer has now been overtaken by Cam Dance. Jalbrio Garcia has been off the road again. He's had another little moment down at the chicane there. He's not going to want to see the chicane ever again. Just a little bit too hot into there and skips across it. But carries on without any major damage. Now this, once again, is Ben Hoffman. And he's now got Mark Redford behind him. Ben Hoffman's been overtaken on this lap by Mats Gestrembakken and Silas Kragvrolic. And now Mark Redford's having a go as well. He's around the outside into turn 1. Tries to get a cut back. Tries to put the car on the right-hand side. Doesn't quite work, though. He's going to have a bit of slipstream down towards turn 2. And yes, these cars provide that much slipstream that you can make something of it into this corner. Mark tries to tuck back in again, though. Maybe get a bit of slipstream up towards turn 4. Oh, actually, Ben did have a spin. Sorry, Ben did have a spin in a moment. This is why he's lost so much ground. Oh, too eager on the throttle. And we've actually had a moment for Ben Kriener. Our race leader has overdone it here. The car has gone sideways. And if we go back live, you'll see that Jack Johns is now within a second of the race lead. So Kriener still leads it. Jack Johns second. There's Simon Price getting out of the way in the Spontex CDM Esports car. And now Jack is going to be fired up to try and take a race victory here. Now we know that Ben has probably got the ultimate pace here. Behind them as well, Silas Kragvrolic only 3 and a bit seconds back. He's got Mats Gestrembakken within a second of him as well, and in the slipstream. Mark Redford has dropped off the back of Ben Hoffman and is now under attack from Tim Perry. We've got Leonard Schneebel still doing purple sectors as well, by the way. Tim Perry very late on the brakes there, tucks the car in. He's right up there in the championship as well at the moment, is Tim, actually. He's 5th in the standings, 74 points. He's only had 1 podium finish, but he's just been very consistent throughout the season. Waiting to see how much the slipstream affects him up there. All over the back of Mark Redford. It'll be good to see Mark get a strong result out of this because he's worked very hard for this. Tim tries to put it down the inside, backs out of it. Unfortunately for the other Yorkshire Spirit Racing car, there's been an issue. Martin does what everybody has done at least 4 times. And just gets on the throttle a little bit too quickly. And around it goes. Tim's doing a fantastic job, though, at just keeping calm here. Just needs to be patient. Oh, maybe it doesn't have to be so patient. And unfortunately for Mark, the car didn't just go 90 degrees sideways like we've seen before. It went all the way around on the grass, and he had to do a 360 to get back on. That now puts Mark Redford in 8th position. Now, Mats Gestrembakken has suddenly closed in loads on Silas Kragvrolic as well. Two of them only separated by about half a second now. And can Mats grab his first podium finish since the very first round of the season? He scored 15 points by winning the first race of the championship at Silverstone, and since then he's only scored more than 10 points in one race, and that was the first race at Spa. He finished that race in 5th position. That's been his best result since. Other than that, he's never scored double digits in the championship, so Mats is certainly owed one because his pace has been phenomenal. He just has really bad luck with getting involved with incidents further down the pack. It's a shame not to have his teammate Lasse Sorensen with us again so far this season. And we've been sent a hilarious screenshot of John Bailiff's car, by the way, where the wheel has detached itself by a good, 30 feet, but stretched the suspension and all the parts that are holding it on by those 30 feet, and that's apparently what launched it into the sky. Now, Mark Redford is under pressure again here by Lennart Schneebel. No one will leave Mark alone this race. He'll just be praying for a clean or empty lap at some point. Oh no, Mark! Again we look at him and again the car goes around. So easy to lose it in these things though, we've shown you that. And once you overheated the rears as well and had a couple of spins, I'm afraid it doesn't get much better. We'll show you just how easy it is to do that though. Just watch the back end of the car. We'll do it from on board. This is his spin earlier actually. And this is the spin just now. Look how it's just so gently spinning and going away from us. The tyre looks fantastic there, doesn't it? Anyway, that's not what Mark's concern is going to be now, how good his tyres look. I'm sure that he's just going to want to finish this race. He's still inside the top 10, so there's still an achievement, still some bragging rights there. And Silas now holding on to his podium position. He's actually extended that gap back to Mats by another half a second, so he's only a second clear of him. Just outside of slipstreaming range, I'd say. And let's see what that gap comes down to. It's actually 1.3 seconds as they cross the line. Flipping heck, I really can't get my words out tonight, can I? Apologies. Ben Kriener has extended his gap though at the front, back again to 3 seconds now over Jack Johns. Jack's still putting in good lap times, but the last one was about 8/10 off what Ben did. Ben's just able to find something else here. There's two drivers that are in the 129s at the moment, and that is Ben Kriener and Silas Kragvrolic. Actually, you know what, I correct myself. Cam Dance and Lennart Schneebel both in the 29s as well. 29.8 last time round for Lennart Schneebel, so he's quicker than anybody else on track at this moment in time. It's Ben Hoffman now that may come under pressure soon from Tim Perry. Tim is starting to close in a little bit for Boosted Motorsport. Into the chicane again. It's terrifying every time you get into that chicane because you've got to slow it down so much that if you do get it wrong, you have to almost come to a stop to make any corrections, because if you do try and really throw a car like this around at slow speed like that, it just lets go on you completely. And it gives up any idea of grip. And that's not really what you want, is it? Let's face it. So we go on to lap 17 out of 18 now for Ben Kriener. The 35th out of 36 laps tonight. And Jack Johns now has got Silas Kragvrolic less than a second behind him. Now, Jack's a big fan of Silas from the CDM Formula 1 World Championship, where he was commentating with me. Well, I know that he won't be a big fan of him right now if he continues to reel him in. The gap comes down to 0.85 of a second, goes back up to 0.9 on the exit. Silas was a little bit deep in turn 2. Great to watch the way these cars move around on the circuit. now 0.6 of a second forward to Jack Johns with just 1 lap remaining. Tim Perry is now 0.7 behind Ben Hoffman as well. So Ben needs to start watching his mirrors into these final moments. The sun is very much going down here at the Hungaroring. The circuit temperature will be cooling somewhat. I'll show you the temperatures and conditions on the right hand side. Actually 25 degrees track temp. It's not too bad actually. That might feel quite nice in these cars. At least it's not too hot and shredding the tyres completely. Onto the final lap goes Ben Kriener, and onto the final lap goes Jack Johns in second place, half a second back to Silas. Let's watch the slipstream at work here. Doesn't seem that massive from that point, but look at Silas on the brakes. Really closes in there. And the gap is now 0.3 of a second. This is for second place. There's only 1 point different between these positions, I must say. Oh, man. That was a big old send by Silas down the inside. He didn't need to come from that far back. Great avoidance and a great save by Jack Johns, but that was maybe a little bit past it for Silas. And now behind them, Mats Gjestrembakken will be hoping that one of them pushes a little bit too hard and overdoes this. As Silas tries to move forward. Jack will, of course, want to catch back up and get revenge, but I think we'll all agree that that was maybe a bit far back, that, from Silas. Oh, man. There was actually contact as well, and Jack did a great job to save the car from going around, but still, don't think the move was on from that far back, not even half the distance. But we must look forward even further from this, I'm afraid, because someone's about to make history in this championship. Ben Kriener has finished no lower than second in this championship since he joined it, but he becomes the first driver not to win 2 races on the bounce, but the first driver to win 2 races on the same night. Maximum points tonight for Ben Kriener. What an evening for him. Silas Kragh-Rolik grabs second place. Jack Johns gets a podium ahead of Mats Gjestrembakken. More points for Mats, he'll be pleased with those. Ben Hoffman finishes in 5th place, and then behind him in 6th is Tim Perry. He manages to hold on ahead of Tim. And yeah, you can imagine Jack maybe not too happy with Silas after that one, as okay. Cam Dance gains 7 places to finish in 7th. Lennart Schneebel finishes in 8th. That was actually a really strong recovery by Lenny in the end. Wayne Palmer is going to cross the line and finish in 9th. And Mark Redford, well, he was having an absolute barnstormer earlier on. Unfortunately, it ends up in a what might have been result as he crawls across the line, probably very frustrated, in 10th spot. Well, as you can hear, my voice is going. My voice is really going. But we're going to try and recap the results of that one once all of the drivers have finished. We still actually have Manuel Esteban to cross the line, but I think with 13th position, this might be his first points of the season. They would be. Manuel round the final corner, and in 13th place, he's going to get 3 points for his troubles. And that's the thing, you've got to be in it to win it. Beautiful stuff. So let's have a look at our feature race results then. The final race of the night. Ben Kriener takes 2 wins out of 2 and pole position this evening. Incredible stuff. 5 seconds to the good over Silas Kragh-Rolik. Jack Johns grabs a podium as well, 3rd place for him. Mats Gjestrembakken finishing in 4th place with Ben Hoffman in 5th. 6th place going the way of Tim Perry with Cam Dance in 7th. Lennart Schneebel 8th ahead of Wayne Palmer in 9th. And then Mark Redford in 10th position. Jalbrio Garcia 11th. Martin Kenyon finishing in 12th. Manuel Esteban in 13th. And then we had Simon Price 1 lap down in 14th. Sam Bentham a non-finisher. Same with Toby Ward, John Bailiff, Jakob Szymanski, and then Kevin Zimstra and John Roberts did not take to the start. So we'll try and grab some drivers for a quick interview, shall we? See what they've got to say for themselves, because it was certainly a lively one. Now, last time out, I did mention to Simon Price from Spontex CDM Esports that I owe him an interview. And here we are. Simon, not the most ideal start in that second race, but you survived at least, because we've both seen many a driver at that point go completely backwards and then, well, get decimated by the rest of them. But you got through it.
Yeah, I got a bit lucky there. Well, I didn't get lucky because I jumped the start.
Oh, is that why you came in?
Yeah.
Right.
To be honest, I don't like being that high up the grid when you've got so many good drivers behind you, because I know I'm not on the pace, so I know they're coming past me, and I don't want to ruin their races. And I just lost my concentration a bit and jumped the start. But if you told me at the start of the season I'd be getting points in any of these rounds, I'd have bitten your hand off. So I'm making progress. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you see a lot of the better drivers saying that it's really difficult to drive, and I actually find it quite easy to drive, but then that's probably because I'm not at the limit. And I really enjoy driving it as well. It's so much fun, and particularly over the last few rounds, like I've got a bit of new equipment which is giving me more consistent frame rates, and I can be a bit more consistent in the car, and I think I've probably had less incidents in the last 2 races or 4 races, sorry, than I've ever had, because usually I'm in the barrier, but that all seems to have gone away a bit. So yeah, absolutely, and just having that confidence in that what you're seeing is what is actually happening at the time you're reacting has improved my confidence no end. I mean, I hadn't driven in any official races for a very long time, and I went back in and did a few and got some good results, and just felt like I could compete a bit more. And the past 2 rounds, I mean, I had a great ding dong with Jack at Hockenheim. Had a bit of a set 2 with Wayne and some others in this race. So I feel like I'm maybe off the pace, but during a race I can get some overtakes in, or I can have a little fights and so on, and it makes you feel more like you belong there.
It can feel really, really mega. I've just realised that I've actually had my mic muted. Sorry, everyone. I took a swig of my drink and then quickly had to click something and forgot to unmute it. But still, Simon's made some very good points. You've been able to hear him at least, and that's the interesting side of the interview anyway. So, Simon, next round of the championship, of course, we move on to Monza. It's going to be a draft fest there. Hopefully a bit tidy in terms of people not moving over on the straights on each other. What do you reckon to going to Monza in these cars?
I've never driven it on iRacing, but it's one of those classic tracks, and we're hitting a run now of tracks that I've had experience of in other games, so that sort of remains. That removes a lot of the barriers from learning how to be quick there.
Yeah.
I thought I got past a lot tonight, but those straights in Monza, it's just going to be like being stuck on the M25 and having a bike filter past you.
Well, yeah, true. I mean, even with the high downforce setup as well, these cars are going to be topping out quite quickly, but there's going to be a lot of fun on the braking zones and into the chicanes, I'm sure. But is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to, Simon, before you go?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say a little thank you to my dog Lola. She's basically getting to a point where we're going to have to say goodbye to her. So,
oh man,
I just wanted to. I don't want to bring the evening down, but to be able to thank your dog, because she doesn't know. She hasn't got a clue what's going on.
Bless her.
Yeah, it's just a shout out to her for all the years of doggy fun.
Oh, bless her. Bless Lola. Well, fair play to you, mate. Fair play, and I hope obviously you're all right and the family are all right as well. Thank you very much for your time, though, Simon. Always a pleasure. Great to have you out there in the Spontex livery, and we'll see you again soon.
Likewise. Cheers.
Cheers. And, well, let's get this one over and done with, shall we, so we can gloat. Ben Carina into the box. Ben, I mean, you've had the perfect night, mate. Pole position, 2 race wins, belting.
Aye. Yeah. The second race wasn't brilliant on my part, I'll be honest. There was some very questionable driving. Absolutely destroyed my tyres off the start on the second lap. They were side by side in front of me, and I don't think either of them wanted the corner. They backed off early, and I just completely panicked, jumped on the brakes, and locked everything. So I do apologise to whoever it was that went off with me. And then I just carried on driving like I hadn't destroyed my tyres, hence the half spin. But it keeps entertaining for you though. So,
Yeah, it certainly did, mate. Certainly did, but still winning by 5 seconds and then over 7 seconds in the first race. Carrying that confidence forward. We go to Monza next time out. Now that's going to be...
Oh boy.
I mean, it's going to be all about the slipstream there and staying within the toe, isn't it? It's not going to be about who's got the raw pace because, well, it's easy to stay on the throttle in a straight line, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think, especially with the amount of drag that these cars have, I think if you've got, it'll be like Daytona, watching a Cup Series race around there and going on to the last lap. You place your bets on who's going to win.
Well, I certainly think it's going to be a very entertaining one, but you've done the double tonight, mate, something nobody else has done so far this season. Do you think you can go on and do it again, or is it a case of just take it race by race and you don't really know?
I think it's a little bit of race by race, especially with Monza being the next one. I think with that in mind, I think it'd be highly unlikely that I could replicate something like this next week. To be honest, I didn't think I'd get anywhere near the front this week for a whole bunch of different reasons, to be honest, but still managed to do that. So never say never. I think the tracks after, I think it's more likely that we could try and pull something like that off, but I don't know, I'm just enjoying driving these cars, to be honest.
Well, it certainly looks great, makes a fantastic sound as well, and in that livery, it's beautiful. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Ben, before I let you go?
Yeah, of course. Same guys at Bark Sport. I think they're quite busy tonight. It's been a very exciting few days for us, actually. Looks like my career is getting a little bit back on track finally, so
good.
I'm looking forward to that, and we should have a good year ahead of us, which will be quite good. Shout out to one of the sponsors, Rob, as well. He's my longest lasting sponsor, and he's committed to me for another year, so I always appreciate his support as well. So I'm just excited to see where this year goes, and being surrounded by great people, and again as well, just kind of like yourself in the series, because everyone in this championship, even with the varying sort of pace levels, they're all good drivers, so you can treat them near enough all the same and know that you're going to get that race in room. So kind of hats off to everyone in here and to yourself for running it.
Lovely stuff, Ben. Well, it's great to hear that the sponsors staying with you, and of course things might be getting back on track. I look forward to seeing what you can announce in the near future, but for now, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.
See you next week, mate.
Cheers. Now, he's not a man that we've actually interviewed very often in here. Now he's done screaming at Jack Johns. We'll have a chat with Silas Kragbrolik. Silas, you had that monumental send at the end of the second race. First off, I mean, you can give us both sides of the story, but what's Jack had to say about that one?
I don't know, Chaz. I kind of ignored him. All I want to say is I'm a high-performance athlete. Athlete sweat. Rah, rah, rah.
Oh, mate.
It was a Daniel Ricciardo-esque save, though. No, I said I felt it slightly bad with Jack, but he was, I mean, he just didn't expect the hairpin time, and that's it. But I'm happy you still got PC though. But
yeah, for sure,
it was good.
Well, I mean, you had a hell of a race in that second one for sure. I mean, coming through the order like
fantastic.
That, it's this is the sort of circuit though where you really do have to make those moves though, because I mean, people call it Monaco without the buildings for a reason. It's hard to overtake here, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I already my send on Ben was also on the edge, but Ben gave me the room. I mean. Yeah, I have to say, all the people who kept me alive there, they could have also just closed the door, but that would have been a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult track, and I tried to do my best to pass people still, and I think it worked out.
Yeah, it certainly looked like a lot of fun in the end once everyone had stopped spinning, but you could tell that it was a difficult circuit tonight, especially in these cars. Next time out, though, we go to Monza. Now, there's a lot of straights there, so hopefully it's not too hard to drive in a straight line, is it?
Monza's actually my favourite track out of all these, and I remember in Formula I also out-qualified everyone by more than half a second, so I kind of want to replicate that as I am. I really like the track, but I think as far as racing goes, it's just going to be a draw fest like Spa.
Yeah, I think it's going to be important to stay in the train though, and I think that's going to just add another level to the race, which should be good fun. But are you confident for the rest of the season? I mean, we've got some great tracks: Monza, Catalunya, Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, I want to say I'm slightly confident in that I could at least. That I have top 5 pace. I don't know if I could keep up with Lennart or Ben Kriener, but I mean, just behind that, I'll be ready to pounce on them making a mistake or anything. But yeah, so slightly confident.
Well, we look forward to seeing how that translates, especially at Monza, Silas. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I'd like to give a shout out to Nick today. He was kind of like orchestrating or being the team principal with us in the voice chat of Alcantac. And of course, I wanna thank you again for the fun league. I mean, I know you're not too happy with the driving this round or maybe some rounds, but I'm happy with you that you want to organise this. So.
Well, thank you very much, Silas. It is really, it is a pleasure. You know, at the end of the day, it's still competition, it's still sport. People might have disagreements, people might go a bit beyond the line, but it's going to happen. You know, it's regardless of how fun it is, it's still a competition at the end of the day. But I appreciate that either way, mate. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you at Monza.
Yes, for sure, man.
Cheers. Bye. And let's get the other side of the coin, shall we, as well, and bring in third place finisher Jack Johns. Jack, you started outside the top 10 in that and came away with a podium. You must still be pretty happy with the result overall there. Good points to the team.
Yeah, a bit. I was a bit gutted on John's race today on both races. I think he had. I think he spun at the start of that one and then fireworked off into some sort of.
Oh, well, I wouldn't call it a race. It was more like a space program, to be honest with you. It was unreal.
Because we did well last week, obviously with the double podium. It's nice to get another one actually, because we were talking, thinking that might be it. We thought that was the only one. Starting 11th, didn't expect much. I thought John was probably in a good position for a podium as well. To be fair, there's a lot of quick guys. Silas obviously was. In fact, both races Silas was closing me down, so I knew he was like roughly a second faster a lap. But the first race, when he caught me into the chicane, he had a half spin on the exit, so that gave me a bit of breathing room and I stayed ahead. And then the second time, I'd used what happened. So mid-race, Ben Kriener had a spin, like a half spin, down to a second, and I ended up had 4 DRSs left, and I used 3 of them to try and stay and put pressure on. I saved 1 for Silas just in case. And what I should have done, in hindsight now, after speaking with him, was save 2, because he had 2 left.
Oh.
And that's why he closed me into turn 2, which was frustrating at the time, but at the end of the day, it was still a podium. So, I mean, incidents happen in racing. It's all good fun. Would have been more annoyed if I'd lost P3 to Mats in the end, but managed to keep it. So, still a podium. Good points, like you said. Enjoyed it. Don't remember the start of the race, just somehow appeared in the top 3.
Well, I mean, if you can do that again, that would be great, wouldn't it? Just blink and suddenly you're in the top 3. Next time out, though, Monza, it's obviously going to be a very technical race. You're going to have to think about pack racing and people working together. I don't really foresee much of that, to be honest, because everybody wants to be ahead of everybody else. What do you reckon it's going to be like up there?
Do you know what? I don't know. I literally have no idea. There's a lot, like you said, there's been a lot of fighting in terms of people wanting to gain that position rather than sitting behind, compared to the Formula 1 where like the top 8 or something ridiculous were very good at working with each other. It hasn't been the case in this one. I think Ben Kriener, after winning 3 in a row, is going to have a target. Like, people are going to be watching him. Lennart, I think, has had poor luck recently. Obviously, he's probably the one with the pace to challenge. In terms of our race, I think it's just going to be the same ethos we've had the whole season, is just try not to spin. That's all you got to do is try not to spin. These cars are so, we say it every week, they're so twitchy and unpredictable. It's actually, it makes it so much more fun, to be fair.
Well, that's it. I think, even the best drivers have their moments, and they can lose the back end and have a spin. Even Ben had one tonight, just in front of you, and regardless of how good people are, how quick and consistent they are, this car can still catch them out. And I think that's probably what keeps the championship so exciting at times. People get frustrated at the car, but it's probably for the better of the entertainment, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, like, obviously we've discussed before about seeing the amount of spins in the races sometimes, and it's like, oh, come on, guys. But then, genuinely, like, everyone watching, you need to try the car, because this grid isn't filled with like amateurs. These guys are quick. They know what they're doing, and the car is catching everyone out. It's catching all of us out. It's insane.
I mean, there's a reason that, I mean, if you could see the replays that I recorded to create the thumbnails for this championship, it's just me crawling around at about 15 miles an hour and then putting more motion blur on it to make it look better because it's terrifying. But still, I look forward to the rest of the season with you, Jack. And is there anyone you'd like to give a quick thanks to while I've got you?
Just yourself, Chaz, again for running it. Thank you to John for being my teammate this season. Hopefully we can get some more points. Try and stay in that top 3 for the team's championship, I think.
Yeah, it'll be good to see how it goes, mate, and I'm sure you'll still be up there as well. But thanks very much for jumping in again. Well done on the well done on the double podium tonight, and we'll see you again very soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
Cheers. Well, there we go, everybody. Jack Johns from 3rd place. We spoke to Silas Cragvrolic as well. Some fantastic people in this championship, and to be honest, it was a very entertaining round once again from the Chaz Draycott Media Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Certainly hope you've enjoyed it as well. This has been rounds 9 and 10 from the Hungaroring. As you've heard, next time out we will be heading to Monza. It's going to be an amazing night at the Temple of Speed. Plenty of slipstreaming, plenty of drivers trying to outbrake each other into chicanes. Who's going to come out on top? Well, we never really know, do we? But still, thanks very much for watching tonight, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you in a week's time. Good night.
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.